Good afternoon, Dr. Harbour. This is Marcus Faison, and I just wanted to respond via video on the posing questions from this week's assignment. So I'll start with the first question, which is how do the social identities of culture, ethnicity, and race impact me, my students, and my school? And I think I wanna first point out that I've been a part of many different schools. I've been a part of a predominantly white school. I'm now a part of predominantly African American school. High socioeconomic statuses versus lower socioeconomic statuses, and I really think leadership plays a huge role in how it all affects everyone. I think. We talk about social statuses, we have to understand that building relationships is the key to making it all come together and making it all work and work for you in a positive way. One of the biggest things of my when I'm in the classroom is just making sure that my students know and understand that I'm here for them no matter what their race is, their culture, ethnicity, no matter what their socioeconomic status is. It's an old saying, students, they don't care what you know until they know that you care. And I think that to me speaks volumes about, what we should think about first as teachers, and we have to be willing to open our eyes to different ideas, different thought processes, not just from each other as adults, but also from students, and show them that you are welcoming them and welcoming their culture and welcoming their similarities and their differences, so that you can, reach them socially before you do so academically. And I think Melody Hobson, she hit it right on the head, and I just want to quote her real quick. She said, we have to be willing as teachers and parents and entrepreneurs and scientists, we have to be willing to have proactive conversations about race with honesty and understanding and courage, not because it's the right thing to do, but because it's the smart thing to do, because our businesses and our products and our science, our research, all of that will be better with greater diversity. So really opening up everyone's eyes. I think that quote is basically saying we not only have to prepare our students to be prominent academically, but we also have to prepare them to be to evolve and be able to fit in the society where there are so many cultures and we're all mixed together, and really understanding one another and accepting one another is the key in order to make all of this work. So I thought that was a very, very encouraging quote, and I think is one that we should definitely use as a gauge as far as how we handle our students. The second question was, what assumptions do we make about people from different races, ethnicities, and cultures? And for me, I guess this all depends on, I think it depends on how you grew up. I think it also depends on who you socialize with today. I think we can make many different assumptions based on stereotypes or what have you, but if you are surrounded today with people of different cultures and ethnicities, you build those relationships and open up those conversations, and you realize that we are more similar than we are different. And I think they get to understand you and feel the same way. We make assumptions about people based on race, and I think sometimes when we make these assumptions and we also place people in certain categories based upon their race and their ethnicity and their culture. Kind of like what Melody Hobson, she gave us a scenario when she went to the White House with she and her friend, two African American ladies, and they immediately thought they were part of the I guess the servers or whoever. So I guess you can place parameters around people and their capabilities if you make those assumptions. And instead of making those assumptions, I think we should just be more open to knowing and understanding that no matter the race, the culture, the ethnicity, we shouldn't place parameters around anyone, because we will limit their capabilities as well as our own to grow. So really just limiting those assumptions and building relationships is the key. The third question from this week's readings, this week's assignment was for us to pose our own question to why is there a dichotomy where some students achieve and some students do not achieve. And I think there are many answers to this question. I think we can all say poverty, we can say the lack of support, we can say the attention and resources that we give to students on a higher level. We can say many different things, but I just want to, and it's never just one answer, it's always a bunch of different factors that play into why we are here at this point today. But I think one of the factors that we can control is the fact that we sometimes rely on the high achieving students to drive our school. And we look at those test scores and we say, well, hey, we have so many students that are on this level or that level, and we want to keep them there. And so that we can look at the end of the day, we can look at the results and say, hey, at least we are here in Florida, we give our school grades. At least we're a B school, or at least we're a C school, and we're an A school, and not necessarily realizing that we'll stay a C school or a B school if we just continue to focus on that population. And that's something that we can actually control. When it comes to poverty and low socioeconomic status, we can make an impact. We can have a positive impact on our students, but I'm not sure that we can necessarily control. We can't go out there and give parents jobs and make our students more comfortable with where they live in their communities. We can't make them safer 100%. So, but we can affect the way that we teach our students. We can affect the curriculum that they're exposed to. So I think focusing on that part, the part that we can control, is definitely a better route. And I think from this week's readings, chapter 11, Abington School District, they really hit it on the head. What they did is they revised the curriculum. They didn't just expose the higher level students to those higher level courses. They kind of spread it out and gave others an opportunity. And in doing so, they realized how much students were able to grow and how much capacity it built within the school. And I do want to pose a quote from them. And explain exactly what they did. They said they removed low-level classes, focused on our outcomes, dug deeper with data, and continually examined what was and what was not working, and tweaked our school's continuous improvement plans. And I thought that was an excellent plan by simply just giving students more of an opportunity. They created excellence, as the book says, excellence through equity. By giving opportunity, sometimes you can be amazed at how far a student can go, or how high they can reach, or what level they can reach, depending on the opportunity. Some of them feel that they'll never get those opportunities, and so it's sad. I think earlier in this course, I spoke about how my school is divided. We're a public school. We're in a low socioeconomic environment, or what have you. But we do have a magnet program, and that magnet program is robotics and engineering, and we bring in a lot of kids from across the county. And most of those kids, because of the program, they are higher level, kids as far as the state assessment goes. And all of their courses and all of the courses that they take as it relates to robotics and engineering are in a totally different building. And if there was anything that I can change, it would be that, because the students in the normal population, they don't get to take those courses. And if we can open up those doors and break down those barriers and allow those students to get an opportunity to explore other parts as opposed to just PE and maybe honestly that's it. That's the only elective for everyone else is PE. So you either in PE or you're nothing. So but just really giving them more opportunities, and I think that would it feels segregated, so to speak. And it's not just white students that are coming in, it's black students, it's Spanish students, but the students know that, hey, those are our high achieving students, when really, what does that say about me as a student when I'm looking at another group and saying, hey, those are the high level students? I think it kind of brings down my self-esteem a little bit, because I'm not a part of that group, or at least I didn't get an opportunity to be a part of that group because I'm not in the quote-unquote program. So I think we have to break down those barriers to remove that dichotomy, because if not, it will exist, and it will always exist because the system is set up that way for it to exist. The next question I want to address is, why is it important to develop equity in your classroom? And I think this is so very important. I think I take maybe a little too much time. Maybe the first 3 days of school for me is all about building relationships and building equity within the classroom. And I do that by interacting with the students on a level in which I'll allow them to tell me more about themselves and their likes and dislikes, and I use that information to kind of tweak the curriculum a little bit so that it fits them, it fits what they like and what they're interested in, and I think it definitely yields good results, and I just really want to give every student an equal opportunity to be successful in the class. I want to give them every opportunity to be themselves in the class and not be afraid to be themselves. I want to give them every opportunity to thrive within a system where there's many different cultures, ethnicities, and races, and still feel comfortable enough and confident enough to be themselves and ask questions and raise their hand and tell me something about them or their country or their what's going on at their house or what have you, and really just make it real for them. Paul Revile, he really, to me with this question, he really spoke to me as far as him trying to get everyone involved in making the opportunity equal for all of the students. I think sometimes we look at what the teacher can do, and the teacher is only a small part of the impact that can be made amongst our students. So I think we have to get the parents, the teachers, the administration, the district, especially in these areas where there are where students are living in poverty and the socioeconomic statuses are low and they're at a disadvantage. In order to make that change, we have to get everyone involved, and he even included businesses in that. And so the plan that they laid out in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts experience really spoke about getting what they call the Commonwealth, everyone involved, and how that can be very, very productive. And I'll take a quote for 1 second. It says, the challenge is to improve the Commonwealth system of public education so that each child will have the opportunity to achieve his or her maximum potential to go on to a productive life as a participant and a contributor to American society and the American economy. This challenge embraces all children. And that was the key thing for me. This challenge embraces all children. And I don't want to point out a scenario that I had to deal with actually this year. I have an advanced class, an advanced 7th grade class, and some of our level 5 students, our highest level students, they actually take algebra. So I started off with about 15 students, and then I started getting a couple more students in that were taken out of algebra, which is a higher level course, a high school course that they get credit for, and put in my 7th grade advanced class. So I wondered why. And one of the students, his name is Omari, one of my students, I realized how smart he was. I mean, this kid, he's literally the smartest kid in the class. And I was wondering, why did he get taken out of algebra? So I asked, administration, what was going on? Can he be placed back in algebra? And the reason why he was taken out of algebra was simply because he was a behavioral problem in that class, and they didn't want him to, bring down the morale of the other students in the classroom environment and so forth. But he was great. I mean, he was one of the smartest kids I ever taught in my life. And I just had an opportunity to sit down with him and talk to him, and I realized that and as more he talked, I realized, the more he needed support as opposed to consequences. He was a student where his dad is still incarcerated, and he misses his dad, and I think he acts out because of those reasons. And mom is very soft on him, as far as she feels bad that dad is gone, and she kind of just want to give him anything he wants. He has the best shoes, the best clothes, or what have you, but he's a behavior issue. And I think if we tap more into ideas to really support him and really develop him as a young man in 7th grade, not saying we don't want him to be a kid, but really taking that opportunity to support him as opposed to consequence him by taking him out of a higher level course that I'm very confident that he's going to pass. B, he's going to get high school credit, and we really want to prepare our students to be high school ready and college bound. So why take him out of a class where he's going to get that credit? And it's not like he was in there for an entire quarter. He was in there for a couple weeks. So I think we kind of pulled the plug early, as opposed to giving our students the opportunity. And that's what they did in Massachusetts. They really developed a support system for those students who needed that support, who needed that extra incentive or what have you. So I really believe that is the reason, that is the way to that's why it's important for us to create and develop equity in the classroom, and not just why it's important, but how to do it as well. We have to build capacity within our schools, community, and the higher ups, administration, teachers, or what have you. So that's my take on that. And the last question I want to address is, how will this perspective affect what I teach and how I teach it? And I want to first say, I think it has already done. So I think it's affected me greatly because, again, by me being in different areas and working in different schools, I've come to realize how important it is to make the curriculum fit the student as opposed to the student fitting the curriculum. As I said at the beginning of this video, at the beginning of the school year, I love to interact with my students on a personal basis, get to know them, their likes, their dislikes, as well as their interests, and bring all of that into the classroom to make the classroom more interesting, to get better student engagement, to determine what strategies would be most useful with students, and really just making it their class or our class, as opposed to them just coming and getting bored, and some students get it, some students don't. So I think the teachers, the way we present curriculum can make a huge difference, and not just making it exciting, but also using proven strategies to really help and reach each student. Students have different learning styles. Some students are auditory learners, visual learners, kinesthetic, so forth and so forth. So making sure that we present our material in all of those ways so that it attracts the attention of all of those different types of learners. We really have to change our pedagogy to fit the students of today. Our students are big into TV and technology and social media, so bringing all of those aspects together, and it's not just about technology, but bringing all of those aspects together and using it in our advantage to really grasp our students and get them to understand the concepts that we need them to learn. I talked to one parent and I told them in my class, your students won't learn math, they'll do math. They'll do math with their hands. They'll do math by doing projects and real world scenarios and really interacting with the curriculum so that they can understand that this is something that you actually use. It's not something that you just want to learn for an assessment or the state test. I need you to learn this so that you can get an A on this test. No, I need you to learn this because learning interest rates and all of those things is going to help you in life. So really just changing the pedagogy so that it fits our students. I want to leave you with this last quote. This last quote is from Darlene Berg. How we redesign our math instruction to increase achievement for every student. And they talked about changing the pedagogy and making it more diverse to meet our diverse learners. And that quote was, and it was on page 234, it says, meeting the needs of our diverse student population by providing diverse instruction has helped us to increase the levels of math proficiency for our students. Traditional modes of instruction are not equitable. Only a segment of the learners demonstrate proficiency. As we have evolved as a teaching community through equitable use of instruction strategies, through the orchestration and refinement of our math program, greater numbers of our students have begun to demonstrate proficiency, and achievement gap has narrowed significantly. So that basically tells me that changing the pedagogy and the way we teach is definitely one way to really create equity in the classroom. You're going to meet the needs of all students by using these proven strategies, by adhering to the learning styles of all of your students. So definitely using the strategies, not only just using the strategies, but presenting them in a way that keeps the students engaged. And so I hope I answered all of the questions. I hope I supported enough with evidence from the readings. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a fabulous Thanksgiving. I know it was 2 days ago, but a happy holiday as well. Thank you for listening, and God bless.